As you'll recall, it's taken quite a while, and we got so frustrated that I filed a petition for a hearing on the application a few weeks ago, and I think that's finally prompted some action. So this isn't the formal permit, but the department likes to issue these sort of previews because, if there's something in a permit you want to challenge, your only option is to file a formal petition for reconsideration. And what was happening is, sometimes people were being forced to file petitions for relatively innocuous errors and typos and stuff like that. So this is just sort of an effort to sort of flesh out any low-hanging fruit like that. And then if there's anything big about the permit that we want to challenge, then that we would have them issue the permit, and then there would be procedures for challenging something we disagreed with. But I wasn't sure if Terry was coming in person or on the line. His review of the permit's more important than mine, so do we want to patch him in my phone?
Yeah, we can check.
And should I do it on my cell phone, or is it something?
We can dial it in.
Who is this coming in?
Terry Scanlon.
You have the number?
I do.
Okay.
208 861 4758.
First started reading this, I got kind of excited that we were going to get a permit for the Snake River.
Well, I think we will.
No, I think we will too. And then as I read down there how the city shot itself in the foot by one person.
Right.
You want to maybe explain that a little bit for the camera? Because I think that's just horrible.
Right, yeah, I was going to get there, just going to see if we can get Terry on.
Okay.
Maybe you should call him because it's for some reason it's not working.
Okay.
They would switch these out though.
Well, do we need the phone to work with Steve over here?
Yeah, I'll let him know about this.
Morning. Hey Terry, it's Dylan. I'm in the commissioner's room. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we were going to start talking about the snake draft permit, and well, I couldn't remember if you were coming in physically or if I was just going to patch you in by phone.
Well, I think you were going to patch me in by phone or call me if you had a question.
Okay. Well, we were just going to.
Here I am.
Yeah, we were just going to start talking about it. Actually, we tried to call you from the commissioner's room, but they were having trouble placing the call, so you're on my cell phone right now.
Is that as loud as it goes?
Sorry, yeah. Unless there's a number
Just
of Terry.
set it up on that little ledge there. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have a nice big mug, just stick it in it. Because it makes it echo. I mean, it magnifies it. That'll work. That should work as long as the mic part can get in the bottom.
Bear with us for a sec, Terry.
Yeah.
We're just trying to optimize the audio situation. A little louder. Can you hear us okay, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so yeah, I mean, the big thing to point out about the permit, probably the most significant, the exercise here is to compare the draft permit to the application that the county filed and see what's different, right? And probably the biggest difference between what the county filed and what the permit says is that the original application had 3 uses: irrigation, recharge, and this municipal component, with the idea being that the city might be able to use some of this water in its municipal irrigation system or for new subdivisions or whatever. And so, as you'll recall, we went through a long process with the city where we tried to get input from them on how they could use the water, and that was really difficult. They were reluctant. They ended up providing a letter of support, but it was pretty vague, and it was signed, by majority of the council members, not all of them, and not the mayor. Um, and so the department left the municipal use off of the permit, and it included in the packet kind of an internal memo explaining.
Let's talk about the one letter they did receive.
Right.
And who
So-
wrote it?
Right, well, I'm getting there. So
Okay.
the memo that the department provided explaining its rationale says it doesn't look like this is super concrete, and we also received this follow-up letter from Mayor Sykes that pretty unequivocally says that, we support the project generally in the county's efforts, but we really don't have any plan on putting any of this water to use. And so I think that the way I read the memo from IDWR, maybe they were sort of on the fence, given what they had received up to that point, but that kind of was the nail in the coffin for them to say, we're not going to include the municipal use.
Well, that is a shame to not include the city of Mountain Home in this permit, this water right. Water can't be used there because an individual writes a letter saying they, for the most part, don't need the water.
Right.
That's tragic. That
Yeah.
really is.
A lot of money got spent trying to do that.
Yes, that's true. But we did everything we could, and I think the record is pretty clear with that. That we tried, and it was not us.
And so, and just so I'm clear, Dylan and Terry, so basically what they've done is just excluded the city from the use of the water, and the county will be controlling that for irrigation and for recharge.
No municipal use.
No municipal use.
Right. Terry, anything you want to add or clarify?
No, not really. I mean, and just keep in mind on the irrigation component, it's supplemental irrigation within the Mountain Home Irrigation District.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I think it's a great step for the county.
That is
It's
huge.
It's absolutely huge,
Yeah.
and I want to say good job. I think that's been a
How many years did it take?
Well, I mean, you guys and Terry originally from Scott filed the application in 2017. So
2017.
We've been trying to get a water right since 2017, and we just got it.
A draft.
right.
Excluding the city
It's
because of a letter written by Mayor Sykes.
It'll be real close to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably, in addition to trying to catch the clerical errors, another reason is a reminder that they're doing this, issuing the draft permit first, is because there were several protests that were resolved conditionally, and so the department wants the protestants to have a chance to review the stuff too, to make sure that the conditions that they wanted to see are adequate. So that's also part of the reason that we're doing this sort of
And I didn't
preliminary
see
draft
anything
step.
that bothered me, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything that really jumped out at me.
The only question that laid in my mind after I read that part about the municipal was, however many years down the road when we construct this, put this pipeline all together, if at that time the city and the county can work together, do you think this could be amended at that point?
Well, I mean, I don't think we could, I think amending it to add a use back in might be difficult, but there might be opportunities to file follow-up applications if there are projects there. But Terry, do you want to weigh, if you could hear that question, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I heard it. No, I agree, Bill. I don't think you're going to be able to amend to add something in, but you can put in a subsequent application. So if, for example, if this project gets going, the county's making progress, and we get new city leadership, they should be encouraged to work with the county and apply for their own water right, or the county apply on their behalf for that municipal purpose.
Sad. Yeah, really sad.
Very sad. Yeah, sad.
So you don't have to make a formal decision right now, but I'm assuming that, challenging that aspect of the permit is not something,
No.
we want to take the permit as it is, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
Okay.
let's
Well-
grab it and go.
Yeah, it's progress, and the reason it's in that state and that aspect is not on the county.
Right.
So why would we use our resources to change that, or it may not even get changed.
Right.
And
Yeah, yes, and it would just
It all
hold things
stemmed
up
from,
further. Yep.
the submittal of their letters. We were,
And there were a few other things we just wanted to point out. I don't think there's anything that we think warrants like a formal challenge, but just other things we wanted to point out. And that's, one of those was that the original application only identified 2 of the county's 4 recharge sites as place of use. So inherently the permit, that's what it did. There are procedures later for amending the permit to add the other 2, but the process that we're in right now is not really the place to try and get those added in. But just wanted to point that out. What else?
yeah, we don't want to slow down the process down.
I mean, the one thing that might be worth talking about a little about is the number 3 in my letter, where the application had identified Mountain Home Reservoir itself as an actual recharge site, and the department didn't include that as a recharge site. So it might be worth asking why, because I mean, it seems like it could be, because we know it's it's leaky, and outside of the irrigation season, theoretically, water could go there for
Well,
recharge.
yeah, and we use it for recharge. That water coming down, they put a ton of water in them crevices on the Highway 20 side. So yeah, I think that's great.
Terry, what do you think about that particular issue?
Well, I think the reason the department didn't include that was because it's more of an incidental recharge with a existing irrigation storage facility. So it's hard to parse out, what water goes to irrigation storage and what goes to recharge. Like you said, Dylan, you can ask about it and see what they come back with. We can always amend to put recharge into a specific location. So, for example, the crevice on the east side of the reservoir, if we wanted to put a measuring device there, and we wanted to reel water through the reservoir into that crevice, I think that would fly, because that's actively recharging as opposed to just incidental recharge within the reservoir footprint.
Well, and I was thinking about it more from the time of year perspective, where, I mean, if any water is sent to the reservoir outside of irrigation season, it's clearly all recharge. So that's what I was thinking about.
Well, it may or may not be clearly all recharge, because they're filling the reservoir.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we just put that in the same category as the other 2 recharge sites. Like maybe we amend later to add it, but since we see the plausible reason that the department left it off, maybe we don't hold things up for that issue.
Yeah. I just want to see this thing get approved.
Yeah.
It's got to be a big deal for the Department of Water Resources to approve an irrigation water right permit from the Snake River above Swan Falls. It's a big deal. And it's kicking open a door.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
It's the second door we've kicked open. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing was a reminder was just that, because at the time the application was filed, that's when the Water Resource Board was like actively inviting proposals to share in its pump station for the base project. And so the point of diversion identified in the application is the same as the one used for that project. And since we know that sharing is no longer occurring, one of the things we will likely be asking the Water Resource Board to help fund is a study of alternatives. Now that changed circumstances occurred, is this really the optimal alignment? And if we do the study and it concludes there is another alignment that's better, we might have to file an application to amend to change the point of diversion. But it's just kind of a one step at a time type thing.
If you change the point of diversion and you change the alignment, you don't have that easement, right?
I mean, we would need an easement at a different location.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
If you don't follow that pipeline, then you gotta go through that whole process.
And that's some of the stuff that would be like evaluated in an alternatives analysis. Like, okay, what?
So, the way it left off when they put in the pipeline to Air Force Base, it was pretty much, we could lay a pipeline right beside that pipe. But if we decided to choose an alternative route, you've gotta go through a whole another process to cross those properties.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that'll be folded in, is like, okay, you know, what access, how much more difficult is it gonna be if we choose another route? Because, you're right, I mean, because there's already a pipeline in a location for the Air Force Base project, piggybacking on that would have been, it does simplify like the NEPA.
Well, and that's what we were told is we could drop right in on that easement.
Right,
But if you change the alignment and you move, who knows, cutting across, that would be a whole new study, all of it.
right.
Easement.
Yep.
Not saying it's not the right thing to do, it's just,
Yeah, no, that's true, it's a good point. So it sounds like the consensus is that I will respond to IDWR and say, we've reviewed and we don't have any requested changes. Is that,
Right, I think the reservoir, you know, and again, we'll rely on you and Terry, but I think it's, you know, sure worth asking if we could use the reservoir as a place of recharge as well.
okay,
I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be a.
so this is almost a historic moment to get this permit.
It is.
I think Terry has more perspective on that than I do in terms of just how significant it is.
I think it's a historic moment.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Terry?
I agree with that too.
And so I think, I mean, I don't wanna call it a press release or anything like that, but that's the wow factor that needs to go out there.
Yeah, we've already, you know,
This has been a long fought battle.
yeah, we've already daylighted this for Natalie and put her on notice, but I told, you know, two things. I told her, one, we want to hear from Terry first, because these permits are going to be long and there's all sorts of conditions, and just because we have a permit, there may be something in there that we have a problem with. And then
We have a draft permit.
yeah, exactly, yeah, we have something draft, so we want to wait for, you know, the actual signed one, but yeah, I have Natalie sort of ready to go.
And what kind of a time frame are you looking at for that?
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the department's
It doesn't take you
deal.
long.
But,
Well, you got 14 days and you're not gonna get it, because if you were to try and change anything at this point, you got 14 days. And then it becomes a decree after 14 days, then it's done.
yeah, that's also a good point, yeah. So I mean,
Well, it's really not yet. We gotta get a signature, then we get 14 days.
right.
So we,
Right.
so, yeah, I think we kinda keep it kinda on the down low for now, and, you know, wait for that signature, and then that's when you, pop the champagne corks.
Well, and like I say, it is a historic moment for the county, and I think that's worthy of a press release.
I totally
When
agree.
it happens, yeah, when it's signed.
Totally agree. 100%.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that memo that they sent explaining why they did not include the municipal use? I would have expected them just to stay silent on that. It seems to be significant that they really went into detail at pointing out the
Well,
reasons
because
why.
they've asked the question about the municipal a lot of times, and that's why we sent all these guys
Yeah.
over to the city to work that out.
Is Cody Parker one of the individuals that the mayor and Marty Anderson met with?
I believe so, as I recall, yeah.
That's who this memo is from.
Right. I think that
I
the
think- I thought
department
that was-
included that in there because they wanted to explain just their reasoning in order to hopefully avoid Elmore County challenging that, you know, just to sort of paper the record, but I think it's also helpful from the county's perspective because it documents what the ultimate reason was.
Well, we tried to educate him on
One letter.
what this means, and
Exactly. Very simple.
it didn't work.
Well, it's just hard to understand the logic.
I think it's heartbreaking.
I mean, here's a
We worked so hard.
here's a
to
10-year
hold on.
battle to ultimately help the community in Elmore County and our our citizens all move forward in a positive manner, and have one individual just destroy that. That's just
I guess one other follow-up question might be just, is there some way we should close the loop with the city on this and, forward it to them just to, say, hey,
I don't think so. I think you're gonna see it right there behind you. It's already done.
Well, I guess my question is, if we do forward this memo from Cody to them, is that going to hink up the process? Or is it?
I mean, they're not parties to it. There's nothing formally
I don't
that
want
the
them,
city could do.
yeah, I didn't want them to try to reverse, and then it end up with a process that's gonna cost us more time. I mean,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah, that's a good,
enough
it's a good concern. And
Yeah,
maybe if we do close the loop on that, or, we do it after after the 14 days after signature.
that's what I was thinking. I'm all for closing the loop, just to make sure that they're aware that they're not gonna be a part of it due to the
I would suggest
stipulations.
it's
But after
done
the fact,
after the permit's actually signed.
yeah. Well, because I think that their elected officials need to know how that affects the city.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried to educate them and it didn't work, but that they don't come back and say, oh, we got that permit, but I think that would.
Well, I don't personally, I don't care when you do it. I think it's close enough now that it's to let folks know there's a draft permit out there, and it should be finalized in the next few weeks. I don't like secrets. I like it. I like it being out in the public. I like people to know, and it doesn't scare me for a second.
I just don't want it to hang up the process.
I just made it public.
Yep, I think that's the best.
All right, anything else on?
I think it's great. I think that you kind of prompting them was important, because it made them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that any of that would have changed whether they did it 2 months or,
And that's foolish.
So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, the timing is good. I mean, as we know, making a presentation to the Water Resource Board Finance Committee next week, and it's a lot better to be able to walk into that knowing that technically we probably don't have the sign permit by then, but I mean, this is pretty darn close.
Yeah.
And that meeting is on Monday.
Tuesday. Yeah, I think Tuesday. That's on my phone.
It's all good.
Yeah, great
Dylan
job.
and
Great
Terry, everybody that's been involved, great job.
Yeah.
Well, Terry deserves most of the credit. Sure.
Like I say, this is historic.
Absolutely.
So let's keep moving it forward.
Yep. Keep moving it forward.
All right, and Terry, anything else you want to say about it? Any of the other details in the permit terms and conditions?
No, I think we've got it covered.
Okay.
So let's just keep our fingers crossed. If we don't see anything in a week or two, start mentioning again.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for joining.
Thanks, Terry.
All right, thanks for having me.
Okay, talk to you later.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for that suggestion, that was huge.
Buzz News
So
got-
I called Steve.
Never knew that.
And it's not compatible with the phone. He's got to order a different one, so it's not hooked up.
Oh,
So I'll get that washed for you.
No, would you just like some coffee?
Oh, that's coffee.
she's like, that's not my job
Well,
description.
I don't care where. I can just definitely get a coffee.
Okay, I will track that down. Dana, if you want to come on up.